Welcome to Perfect-ish, where it's not about having perfect time management, but about perfecting your relationship with time. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and every week we'll talk all things time and how to maximize it without burnout or guilt. Whether we're chatting with an expert or I'm sharing my 20 years of time management experience, you'll learn simple strategies to make every moment count. Here, it's all about getting close to perfect-ish. So let's synchronize our watches and dive in. Hi, friend.
Hi.
Okay, today we're going to talk about how to make time for what matters. That's pretty normal. We talk about that quite a bit. But we're going to add to it because I believe that sometimes what matters most can be held right over your heart. And I mean that both figuratively and literally. So let me just pause for a second and say that I have two most important pieces of jewelry. And if you know me, I actually have a lot of jewelry. So that is saying quite a bit. Maybe I'll be brave enough and I'll share in our Facebook community how much jewelry I actually have. But I have two most important pieces. Now, it goes without saying that my wedding ring is piece number one. But if you've seen me in this last year, literally, if you've seen me, if you watch the episode on YouTube or you follow me on social, you might already know what I'm getting ready to say about piece number two. Piece number two. It is my Prince of Love necklace. Now, I think it was important enough to not only show it and showcase it, but to invite a new friend on today who's going to talk about this very necklace. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, but first, let's just go ahead. Let's just not waste any time. And Casey, you are the girl behind the necklace.
Hi.
You are it. You are it. All right. I am probably going to make people laugh just a little bit, but Casey, here's the deal. I have 4 friends, so there's 5 of us, and we have a tradition of giving each other birthday gifts. And how this started was I had a client a few years ago. She's about in her late 70s, maybe even early 80s now. And I was delivering an order to her and we were chatting and she mentioned that her birthday was coming up and then she started to giggle and she said that her bestie every year, keep in mind, late 70s, early 80s, that her bestie every year for their birthdays, they give each other a whole wardrobe of new panties. And I did what all of you just did. I just laughed. And I thought it was so adorable and so cute. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to start that with my friends. So this little group of friends, that whole first year, that's what we did. We wardrobed each other in that. Well, after year 1, what are you going to do year 2, right? We needed to take things either up a notch or down. I'm not sure which way. And last summer, for my birthday, I was in Dallas and my friends, I will probably post the video of me bawling, crying. My friends gave me this necklace. And Casey, it's not just a gold necklace, although they do come in different colors and tones. But what is on the necklace? We're going to talk more about it. But what is on the necklace? Why did I cry?
Because you had your children's fingerprints on it?
Yes. And if anybody is sentimental, I guess like me, I thought I will literally treasure this forever. It has my kids' fingerprints on it. This is your creation, and we're going to talk about that as well in just a few minutes. And I have not taken it off since, well, maybe we'll get to the one day that I lost it, but I have not taken it off. It means so much to me, and I'm so thankful for that one day in the parking lot with my client who said that she and her bestie give birthday gifts, and then my friends gathered around, and they gave me truly this most amazing gift. And I just got weird, and I got into Casey's DMs, and I started to talk to her. It's true. And I said, I want you to be on this show. I want you to be on the episode, and I also want this episode to be an opportunity for all of our listeners and our audience to love something as deeply and wholly and fully as I love my necklace. So it's the truth. It's the truth. So Casey, that's a little bit of the background for the people that don't know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure they've heard it before, but I wanted to do that. And now let me officially welcome you to the show. You are the creative force behind this line of jewelry, not just kids' fingerprints, it's forever pieces that we'll talk about. Casey, you're a mom of three, a solopreneur. You are someone who's walked through big life transitions with, I believe, honesty and heart. And we're going to have some real talk today on the creative entrepreneurship, the ups and the downs, and
Mm-hmm.
how you manage it and how you stay focused on your purpose when life is lifing.
Right.
So, Casey Melton, my friend, the genius behind my second favorite piece of jewelry ever, welcome to the show.
Thank you. You are so kind, and I really appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. It's
Um,
exciting. Yeah.
yeah.
So, Casey, tell us, we see the end of the story, right? We see you now. We
Mm-hmm.
see how you have really taken your gifts and talents and made
Mm-hmm.
purpose out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's back up though and tell us how'd you get here?
Okay.
What did that look like?
So I grew up in Roswell, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta. And I went to the University of Georgia. I was a sculpture major and a marketing major. I got married like right out of college, and I moved to Dallas, Texas. And there I started working for sculptor Brad Oldham. And I learned the art of casting pewter. And he kind of did interior architectural elements. Um, so I worked big and, sculptural. And then a couple years later, I went to go work for Shoshana Frank, who had a company, F is for Frank. And I bought into that company like a year after working with her. And we were business partners for like 10 years. And we started out doing similar stuff that I was doing at Studio 30, Brad, interior architectural elements. But then like the recession hit. And so all our custom jobs kind of fell off. And we both had a sculpture background. She also had a jewelry background. And she was like, let's make a line of jewelry. And we cast pewter. So she's like, we can do this all in house. And so we started doing that. And it was kind of when the indie craft market had just begun, and Etsy had just started. So we like kind of rode that wave. So while this was going on, we would do like workshops sometimes. And one day we were doing this ornament making workshop with kids. And I was buffing off their fingerprints. And I'm like, I bet parents would want this. And so yeah, I was like, oh, this is super cool. I was like, let's call it Prince of Love. And then like a year later, I had my first child. And so he's 14 now. So all that was like 15 years ago. And as soon as I had him, I was like, yes, like I want to wear my kids' prints. I want to have their handprints when they're babies. But really our main focus was our sculptural line of jewelry. And so we kept doing that. We went to like New York Now. We would sell to like a lot of museum stores, and that was our main focus. And then like 10 years go by or so. And I had my third, maybe 8. Anyways, I had my third child. And soon after that, my husband at the time lost his job and he got a new job in Raleigh. And so Shauna and I decided that we were going to dissolve F is for Frank. She wanted to move on and do like a fine jewelry line, which she does now. She lives in Santa Fe and we're still like amazing friends. And she suggested in the buyout, she was like, why don't you take the casting equipment and focus on Prince of Love? Because I would do that for my friends. I would do it for my kids. It was kind of like on the back burner. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. She's like, just focus on that. It'll be awesome. So like it took about 9 months. I moved to Raleigh, and I started Casey Melton Studio. I got a studio, and it focused on Prince of Love. Um, at that time, my marriage kind of imploded, and and so I was like, okay. Um, my mom was like, okay, you have no money, and your life is a mess. So come
God
back.
bless mamas, right? God bless, God bless mamas.
She's like,
And this
come
is almost
back
before
to
Mother's Day, so shout out to all the mamas out there. Thank God for you.
and so I did, and I I moved my studio again, and I found a space, and she like moved half of her house out, and I shoved my 5-bedroom house in her 3-bedroom house, and me and the kids came and lived with her, and it was like the biggest blessing of my life, and I could focus on my business, and I could focus on my kids, and she did my laundry and made me
Once
dinners.
again, moms.
And
This is
then
a
like
mom
COVID
love
hit.
fest.
Yeah. Okay. So then COVID hit, and then we stayed longer, and we had each
Yeah.
other, and and then and then I started dating, and then I eventually got remarried, and I could not like pull my kids far from my mom because they were so attached, and they loved their school and they loved their sports, and so I ended up buying a house in the neighborhood that I actually grew up in, that my mom lives in. So we all, are close. And I bought this like 1970s fixer upper, and I actually moved my studio in my house because, that's you got to make it easy, and you got 3 kids, and so we did that with the intent of like knowing that I really wanted like my space here. And yeah, and so now that's where I'm at. I'm like, have my business. I'm raising 3 kids. I have a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old now. So we're doing the middle school thing.
Yeah. And we had before we recorded, we were talking about travel sports, we were talking about teenagers, we were talking about all those things that go into it. And when they do want to drive us crazy, because we've got those kids. They do want to drive us crazy sometimes, and they do. But then we look at our necklaces when they're peacefully sleeping, and we're like, oh, they're the
Oh,
best.
for sure, for
They're the
sure.
best. They're the best.
Yes.
Um, you know, I love stories. Well, that's one of the reasons I like being a podcast host, because I love people's stories, Casey. And I love when we look at the timeline, which I know was not easy. There was a lot that you didn't, of course, mention here today that was hard, that was challenging, that I'm sure brought you to your knees. But look at all of the moments that were not wasted along the way, and what you learned from your mentors and your degree that you had, and then working in business and understanding that and being at the right place at the right time and having that observation that you had with buffing those little fingerprints off. And now here you are today making such a difference. And so thank you for sharing your story, because I think sometimes we just want that really easy path to success, or we think entrepreneurship is what it looks like on social media. And the reality, Casey, is it's not. It can get ugly, it can be beautiful. It can
Mhm.
be the greatest thing we've ever done, and it can be the most challenging thing we've ever done. But at the end of the day, here you are, and you're making a difference, and we want to learn from you today. So thank you for being vulnerable, and let's go there. Let's go there. So, are you ready for a few little questions and some talking points here today from your perspective?
Yes, I would love that.
Okay, good. So, obviously, you know how important my piece is to me, and I'm not the only one. You are in such a personal business. And I know a lot of women that are listening, they also have businesses where they really have to connect with people, and they get in there and they feel the emotion and they understand that. At the same time, when we pour out so much, sometimes it's hard in return. So, are you able to find ways to protect your creativity and your energy when life is feeling a little heavy or a little overwhelming?
Okay, so making and creating is my happy place. And so like just like if a runner is running, like when I'm making stuff, I can tune out anything like that is personal and overwhelming. Like it like releases my anxiety, like and yeah. So like that's what makes me happy. But also like I feel like these pieces are a collaboration. And so like in the end, I'm just striving to like make the best piece possible for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is true. It's yeah, you're seeing more of a perspective than just that this is a brand or a business or something that you're providing. It goes a little deeper, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now, okay, so there is one part of my business that okay, so sometimes I do people's first touch, like babies, I do touches like all in between, all ages. Um, the last touch is a heavy part of my business. And but I also feel like it's a very sacred place to be in. And so sometimes like I get kits of people's last touch, or sometimes I actually have to do some impressions. And it's not all the time, it's just occasionally. But it's also like the most fulfilling because those are like the comments and the people that are like, you've created this tangible memory for me that I can hold. And so that can be heavy, but it's also, I think of it as like my purpose too.
Okay.
Sorry. I didn't
No,
mean
you got
to
me.
on the
You
heavy
got
note.
me. You got me. And gosh, I didn't even think about that because I was just centered on my experience so
Right,
far.
right.
And it probably
Most
got me
people.
to yeah, it's both and. It's both and I'm so grateful. My grandma has been on the show and she's just turned 101 and
I
I
know, it's
thought
amazing.
yes, and I know her part of her DNA, of course, is always with me and she's
Yeah,
left such a legacy and I'm thinking, gosh, okay, Grandma Deedle, I got to get an impression from Grandma Deedle so I can
yeah,
have
for
you make me
sure.
one for her. Casey. Okay. Yeah. Hey, I don't know the last time I've teared up on the show. So you get, I don't know if it's bonus points or
Aw.
whatever, but okay. This is why this matters, you guys. This is why I have you on. All right. So being all the things that you are, being a mom and a maker and all of that,
Mhm.
again, not easy, friend. I mean, you might make it look easy, but I can probably peek behind the curtain and say it's not easy. So I know there are times when orders are stacking up and the kids need rides because they're not driving yet. That'll come. Dinner's burning on the stove or whatever. If there's chaos around, I know that this is your happy place, but if there's chaos around, what do you do with your mindset? How do you either quiet the noise or stay focused or handle business?
Mhm.
What is your mindset there?
Okay. So first of all, like busy is a blessing. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, when I'm busy. And also, I kind of feel like I do thrive in chaos and busy. Like, okay, when I was in college, I took 12 hours and I made a 2.5. But then when I took 18 hours, 3 studio classes, and I played lacrosse, I would like make a 4.0. So I don't know. I guess, when you got so much going on, you have to be on it. It's really when I don't have anything going on that I'm like,
That is so true. It's like with the law of something, but it's when a body in motion tends to stay in motion and a body at rest tends to stay at
yeah,
rest.
yeah,
So you have momentum when you're busy and when, okay, that's good. And I
yeah,
did write down on my notes, busy is a blessing. That's a good reminder.
yeah.
All right. You've get man, how do you have such wisdom in your young age? It's so good. It's so good. So you did mention, let's go there.
Okay,
Sometimes there are slow seasons.
right,
So busy means probably business is booming and
right.
things are happening and thriving and we hope after today's show that it's going to be doing that because everyone's going to want 1 or 10. But there are slow seasons.
Right.
And it is a season, and I get that, and I know you do too. So how do you handle the season when things are quieter?
Right.
Especially because that is tied to both what you love, your passion, and your livelihood. So how do
Totally.
you navigate that?
So this is a stressor for me, maybe one of my number one stressors. But okay, so I do try to stay focused and not overthink. And I really do try to just like focus on my processes, on my marketing, like things that are not like, you know, the number one priority when I'm making. And it like my business is very seasonal. So March, April, May are busy for Mother's Day. And then October, November, and December is for, the holiday. And yeah, so like kind of the lulls, I work in the back end stuff. And then I also, it is awesome that I'm slow during the summer in some respects because I have 3 kids and they like to be taking places like the pool.
Yeah, you're the summer camp counselor, like it or not,
I
aren't
am
you?
kind
Yeah.
of. But then also, financially, it is kind of stressful. So, I'm always working on that balance. I'm always trying to not be as seasonal, but it is kind of what it is.
Well, and I think too, sometimes we forget, and we might talk about this in a minute too, but I've said this a lot of times before. We can either fight it, and I'm talking about like seasons and seasonal. We can either fight it or we can flow with it. We can find the flow and we can
100%.
find the good in it, right? And so it
Totally.
is going to be natural no matter how big, and we want you to blow up and be on,
Yeah.
everything that's huge and amazing.
Right.
And to even out those seasons. But no matter how big you get, there will always be those significant seasons will be busier. They just will.
Totally. Yeah.
So instead of saying, oh, there's something wrong with me, or this is what, to
Yeah.
understand the beauty and the nature of it too.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of Stephen Covey and his 4 quadrants. It sounds really intellectual, but basically there's different quadrants we can live in. And there's the busy or the urgent and important quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
So the important and urgent quadrant is probably for you March, April, May, and then October, November, December. And then there's the not urgent but important quadrant. And you can shift into that, Casey, when it's like, okay, I have a little bit more time to spend on my social media or my back end or collaborations or whatever. So I think it's smart, like you said, is to not overthink it
Mm-hmm.
and use those different seasons for different purposes instead of trying to fight them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned in your story that you have walked through some stuff in life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're big. These are big shifts,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Moving, having kids, a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
a remarriage, moving,
Mm-hmm.
all those, living with your mom, which was good. And not all big shifts are bad, but some of them are easier than others. So through those transitions, what would you say was the impact for you on your business or your creativity?
Right. Okay. So I believe that like big life events, they force you to pivot to where you really need to be. And, I definitely trust in God's plan. And so, for example, like when I moved to Raleigh, like it was meant to be that I was to start focusing on creating Casey Mountain Studio and focus on Prince of Love. It wouldn't be like it is if I hadn't moved. And then, when I got divorced, I was forced to focus on like the money aspect of it and actually like creating a business that could support my family. And so like from a business aspect of Prince of Love, like it's made to order and I was able to reduce my overhead and I learned all sorts of things, in prior businesses on like what worked and what didn't. And yeah. And then and then COVID. Like before I was, sorry.
That's okay.
Um,
Hey, by the way, it's not just kids' fingerprints that we can get on, it's pets' fingerprints too.
I know.
Hey,
I'm so
this
sorry.
is real life, girl. No, this is real life. This is good because I do want people to
Usually
know.
my dog is
Yeah.
really quiet, but she wants to solitaire outside or something.
Hey, you know what? This is a good reminder. Like I said, I wanted everybody to know that you can get your pets'
Yeah,
fingerprints.
that's right.
Or
That's what
it's not a
River
fingerprint,
needed
it's a
to
paw
tell
print.
us this, okay?
Yeah, it's all
So
good. It's all
hopefully
good.
she will stop talking.
She was just like, "Mom, don't forget about me." Is
Yeah,
what she was
exactly.
saying.
Exactly.
No, we're good. We're
So
good.
yeah, before COVID, I just did in-person events, but like I was forced to be like, oh wait, let's do this kit idea, and then I created my own website, and I that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't, I feel like when you're comfortable, you're gonna stay like stagnant. And then sometimes these moments that are hard and uncomfortable force us to essentially be where like God wants us to be. And so like that's why I like, just have to trust in his plan. And also it's not to say it's not hard in the moment, but it's really one of those like hindsight things. Like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, God is he's the great disruptor, right?
Right,
And not saying that he caused it, but he will
rare.
use it. He
Right,
might not
exactly.
cause it, but he will use it. Casey, I remember journaling at the beginning of, and the only reason I journaled is my daughter had given me a journal for Christmas and I felt guilty. And so I was like, but I journaled all through the beginning, especially of COVID. And I remember writing in my journal, don't miss it. And what I meant was, even though I didn't know what was going to happen through COVID and I didn't know what changes were going to happen, I didn't want to get on the other side and have missed what I could have learned in it and
Mm-hmm.
the good in it and the
Mm-hmm.
changes in it. So I remember thinking, like, I don't know what's going to happen. None of us did. But I remember thinking, don't miss the lesson. Don't miss the gift. Don't miss the moment, even as hard as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. Comfort equals being stagnant. Yikes. You're stepping on toes too. Preach it. Preach it, girl. Preach it, girl. Okay. So when you are in the flow, okay, let's bring
Mm-hmm.
that word back. When you are in the
Mm-hmm.
flow, and I know it is your happy place. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that you said for some, like a runner, running might be their happy place. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be in the creative or the making. It can be whatever you know that is your thing. So when you are in your flow, what are the conditions or the rhythms? How are you at your best? How do you find your best for that?
Um, so it's funny. I kind of took this question literally. Like, I'm like, you know, good weather always helps. Like, my studio is in the garage.
Yes,
So,
I call this
like, I
positive
love to
triggers.
open up
Yes.
the
Yes.
doors and turn on some music or a podcast. Podcast. No, but
Love it.
I just kind of zone out. So I just have like things in the background, and just and kind of like grinds, literally. Grinds of jewelry.
Grind it out. Grind it out. No, I talk about that so much. You can create conditions for yourself, right? And pay attention to that too. I call those positive triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sunlight, a good playlist,
Mm-hmm.
you know, clothes that you feel either powerful or comfy or whatever that is, all of that, fueling yourself a certain way, having something yummy to sip on or whatever that looks like.
Right.
You're right. We can create a condition for us to have the flow in.
Totally.
That's good. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna picture you grinding it out on you. Grind out some jewelry.
Yeah.
Okay. And so speaking of that too, let's keep this conversation flowing here. When you are in that space and things there, your hustle season or things, how do you know when and how to push and when how to rest? Like, are there
Mhm.
things and cues that you've learned from yourself
Mhm.
of like, ooh, danger, watch it, or how do you kind of go between those two things,
Okay.
push and the rest?
So honestly, my personality is pretty go with the flow. So like, like when I'm busy, I push. And then when I'm not busy, I rest. And when I'm stressed, I go take a walk or breathe. Breathing helps. I mean, um, we talked about me being solo, and then like I had a business partner for 10 years too. So I think that is it it has its pros and cons, but sometimes it is hard to be a solo entrepreneur and just not have that person to like keep you optimistic when you are like not being, or just bounce off ideas. But I have a good network of people that I can talk to. And I mean, honestly, talking is like my therapy. So I talk a lot. I talk to people a
I
lot.
can't believe you haven't been on a podcast
No,
before. Now,
not been on
now
a
you're gonna be like,
podcast.
hook me up. Who's got a podcast? I like to talk, and I got a good
Yeah,
story, and I got good
yeah,
truth bombs and wisdom.
yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
having
I
that
think
support, yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, and honestly, that was one of the reasons because I know that entrepreneurship, whether you call yourself a mompreneur or solopreneur or
Right.
whatever, it can be lonely at times.
Yeah,
And
because
when
it's all
I
on
reached
you.
it is all on you.
Yeah,
And when I reached out to you, I said, "Let's collab. Like,
yeah.
let's partner together." And sometimes you just have to take that initiative. And sometimes you
Right.
just have to pray that you're in the right space. And I do that every day. I pray that God would put me in the right rooms with the right women. And sometimes that just means DMing a girl that you don't
Yeah,
know named
absolutely.
Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I'm so appreciative. Yeah, no, 100%, and then like I writing goals and things like that, and like writing notes on, you know, to-dos, and but all that helps.
All that helps. I'm going to go back to when you said breathing. Taking, you said two of my favorite things, taking a walk and breathing. And I've started a new practice, Casey. So on my walk, I do a long walk. I work on the walk first. Okay. Like answer messages, do whatever, whatever. Then I turn around and I pray home. But you know what I've started doing before I start praying? I breathe.
Yeah,
And it's amazing. I'm like, I know I've been breathing because I'm alive, but like I have not taken a deep, and let me say, that first deep breath that I take, it just is like a reset. It's crazy.
right.
Just like,
I know. I know. It's important. I mean, so this week I've had some stressors like well, I'm like 43 now, so my anxiety has been going up. And so some of my stressors are I was traveling, and like I have airport anxiety. Like it's the logistics, it's the claustrophobia on airplanes. So I was dealing with that. And then the dentist, I had to go to the dentist. That I like love my dentist. I don't like going to the dentist. So like I was doing a lot of breathing this week.
you were getting a lot of opportunities.
I was like, great. Yes.
And then you're recording a podcast and you've never been on a
Yes. Yes.
podcast. let's add that to the mix.
I'm gonna add
Uh,
that to the mix. Then afterwards, next week is spring break. So
you can exhale. You
yeah,
can
and I'll start. Yes,
absolutely,
exactly.
absolutely exhale. And sometimes no matter how good we've made the conditions, like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
how much we've set ourselves up for success, we're still gonna go through yuck. We're gonna go through anxiety. We're gonna go through fear. We're gonna go through things that just are not comfortable. And then we're either going to see how strong we are or
Mm-hmm.
see a purpose in it or say, you know what, I can do hard things. And really, in essence, what we're doing is we're shaping ourselves so that we can I think, be who we need to be for our kids
Mm-hmm.
and model that we're not. I mean, anytime I go through something tough, I'm like, there's a balance between protecting my kids from it and also modeling how you get through some stuff
Mm-hmm.
for your kids too, because they see
Okay.
it.
So my 14-year-old, he's kind of an old soul. And so in the car the other day, we were talking and I was talking to him about, oh, I gotta travel. Oh, I gotta go to the dentist. And he was like, he said something. He was like, focus on the path, not the trees. And I was like, like, who are you? You are so good. And I
See,
swear to goodness, today I was like, the path, focus on the
focus,
path.
focus on the path. I feel like that is like Karate Kid, like
I was
wisdom,
like,
like.
yeah, I know. I was so impressed.
Mm. Just just when we think they're just gonna never pick up those dirty socks, or are they really
Oh,
getting
right.
it?
Or be on time.
Yes, and here they come with that.
I know.
Oh,
100%.
and so on that note, any other, we're talking motherhood, we're talking legacy, we're talking all of those things, and you have an impact every day and you work with women on that. Is there any other things that have shaped you in that area of working with women and moms and thinking about legacy in that
Um,
respect?
I don't know. I just feel like, I created this product because I had 3 kids and I wanted to wear my kids' fingerprints close to my heart every day. And it's just been such a blessing, and it's kind of like built itself because, other people were like, yes, like I want to wear the people that I love the most, closest to my heart. And I just like love that I get to create jewelry that like evokes emotion like that and like people can feel connected to.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I wouldn't say like I it kind of like just created itself. And so I just am lucky that I get to be the one to make it and like, you know, find awesome humans to, connect with and through that way too. Yeah.
You're lucky, we're lucky, blessed, right? If whatever word we want to use. It's so true. And so tell us how it feels when someone opens a necklace, maybe someone like me, and they tag you on social, or someone opens it and they send you a message or they send you a photo. Just describe, because through all the things that we talked about, the good, the ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever, there's that moment that you get to experience when you know you've made somebody's day. What does that feel like?
Yeah, no, honestly, that is everything to me. Like, I, sometimes I'm like, oh, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, those are my answers when, like, I get messages of, like what I made meant to them. And so, like, I feel like that's like my sign from God that, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And, you know, anyways, so yeah, it's 100% like I just feel like yeah, this is what my mission kind of, this is like my purpose, and those are my signs when people like, you know tell me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In so many ways, it's like this gift that just your people have been given a gift of a necklace, right? And then they feel the gift of the love of their family member, and then they share it with you, and then you've been sharing your gift. It just is this beautiful little circle that just keeps going. And Casey, I want other people to experience the love of a piece of jewelry or 10, like I have. So let's talk about, how do they connect with you? I know that strategically we're airing this episode within enough time before Mother's Day, if you're listening in real time, not to get your necklace because it's a process, but to get this in as a gift initiated for
Mm-hmm.
somebody. So just give us the scoop. Where do they find you? What does that look like? If they're wanting a gift for the holiday, you don't just do kids' fingerprints. Just give
Right.
us your spiel.
Okay. Yeah, so you can go to my website and you can order a kit. And when you order the kit, you're going to get a case with clay. There's 2 pieces of clay because I like 2 impressions just so I have a backup and I can pick the best one. There'll be like an order form in there. You also will get like a shipping label. So all you have to do is like, and packaging, you just like throw it in the mail, back in the mail. Once you send it back to me, it does take like 4 weeks for me to make. Everything I do pretty much is in-house, except I send the plating off to Rhode Island, so that takes a sec. But yeah, like it's all handmade by me. I'm kind of like a one-woman show. And yeah, I mean, if you like ever have any questions, like I'm the person that will DM you back. Or it's so funny because I have a Shopify website, and the Shopify chat, people chat me all the time, and it's like a DM on my phone. So like I'll be answering your chats while I'm in line at TJ Maxx or something. So yeah.
So if anyone is in a blizzard in Florida and apparently they were just jumping up and down a bunch to get the right pictures and somehow they lost their second most treasured piece of jewelry in the snow in a blizzard in Florida,
Yeah.
wouldn't know who that happened to. And instead of panicking, I didn't panic, Casey. I mean, I was like, oh goodness. And I did look everywhere. But instead of panicking, I DM'd you, not knowing it was really you messaging me back. And I was like, oh my word, this happened. And and you're like, girl, I keep the molds. Like, you're fine. Let's just get you another one. And
Yeah.
so this is actually my replacement. This is times 2. So
But it's the same. It's the same.
no, it is the same. It is
Yeah.
the same. And they can get it in gold and I think silver and rose gold. Am I right?
Yeah. So everything's
There's
cast
different
either
options.
24 karat gold plate, rose gold plate, gold fill chain.
Perfect. And then let's double down on that you don't just have to do human prints.
No, you
You
could
can do
do
pet
your
prints.
dog. Yes. I do nose prints now too. I just made those kits. And then also like you can have your paw print made into like a necklace or like ornaments, paperweights, all kinds of fun. Oh, keychains for like Father's Day, cufflinks,
Oh,
all,
so good.
all the things.
So good, so good. So they can find you on social, Casey
Yeah.
Melton Studio, also
Yeah.
Prince of Love, if you want to look on both of
Right.
those.
So Prince of Love, your Prince of Love is the Instagram, and that has more product. And then Casey Mountain Studio has a lot of process if you want to kind of see how I make what I make. And then CaseyMountainStudio.com is my website. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And you have given us the gift of 10% off for the listeners.
Yes.
Woo! So they can just use code PERFECT10. So all in caps, PERFECT10. Love that code for
Mm-hmm.
10% off.
Yes.
And remember, this is a great gift. You'll get the kit for the Mother's Day gift or the whatever you're doing. And then in about 4 to 6 weeks, they'll get the actual product. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Casey, I want everyone, we can all just share on social. We'll use our opportunity to just share the love and pass you on to everybody. And now you've given me, I need Pippa's nose print. I need my grandma's print. I need, I got my order coming. I got my order coming in.
Yes.
Well, Casey, I want to give you a gift back. And it is not a real gift. It's a pretend gift, but it is the gift of the idea of a bonus hour, friend. So 60 minutes that Casey can do with whatever she wants. What would you do with your bonus hour?
Okay. I love gardening, and I love like laying out on my deck and like hanging out on my couch, and then I go to my garden and I like play in the dirt. So I think that's what I would do.
It's so great. I can picture it now. I can
Yeah.
picture it now. So you know what, friend? My extra part of the gift is I hope and pray that in the next couple of weeks that you will find somehow, some way that hour and get yourself out in the beautiful sun and in the garden and hands in the dirt. And then after your hour, send me just a real quick picture like I did it. And so I can celebrate that bonus
Okay.
hour time with you. Oh, well, friend, thank you so much for sharing your thought process and giving us new ways to think about busy and slow, and giving us things about finding the purpose and the joy and the passion in what we're doing, and breathing, and that times are going to be what they are, right? But what we can learn from them, and for truly giving us your all and your gift today. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Me too. And thank you for being a new friend, not just the girl behind the social media account or the Etsy brand. Now you are truly, truly, we're connected forever. And I just can't thank you enough for who you be.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. You guys get your orders in. Perfect 10. And then let's all share all of our beautiful jewelry so we can appreciate Casey. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for being on. Till next time. God bless. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Perfect-ish Time Management Podcast. Let's keep the fun going. Follow me on social and join our Facebook community. And if you're ready for some one-on-one time management coaching to reach the top of your game without burnout or guilt, I'd love to chat. Book a free interest call using the link in the show notes or send me a DM. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend who's ready to master their time too. Remember, we're in this together, making real progress towards becoming perfect-ish.